Honorable Raila, welcome to the UK. Eliud, you are also welcome to the UK. Our people, I want to say thank you very much for taking time to be at this meeting at such a short notice. When Eliud told me that he is in the UK with the Honorable Raila and he wanted to meet us, the first thing I said to him is, we don't have people who can turn up for a meeting at this kind of notice. So I'm glad that there is plenty of people. The room is full. You've turned up for the meeting. I really appreciate your effort. I know you've dropped a lot just to be here. And I want to say this. I'm very, very glad that Honorable Raila has come all the way to the UK to pitch for the African continent, especially as far as business is concerned. He did not come for a political meeting. He came to attend a CEO summit, people who drive economies. And Honorable Raila, let me tell you what happens in this country, what our children like this one see on tele. They see Africa as a place of suffering, a place where there is no peace, a place where you will be killed, where you will be mugged on the street. My children have been asked if they ever lived on trees. And when they said they used to go to a school that has a swimming pool, they were like, what do you mean? Is there a swimming pool in Africa? I thought you people swim with crocodiles. So it's good that you can come from Africa and pitch on behalf of the African continent for people to know that there is business and there are business opportunities in Africa. Having said that, I want to come back to the issue that everybody has mentioned. When you go to the funeral of Honorable Senator Mutula Kilonzo, please tell the people that are mourning, tell the family that the UK, the people, the Kenyans in UK are together with them at this very hard moment where they just woke up and find their father dead. It's hard, and we share their grief.
Mine will be quite brief, just to introduce the person who will introduce the chief guest. And far flanked in the right hand is one of the very able, trusted aides of the PM, and was the former PM, and was also his campaign manager, Mr. Eliud Owalo.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, sir. It is indeed a pleasure to meet you guys again. We had a meeting sometime last year. But at that point in time, I was still in Fora. I was actually the Secretary General of Fora. So we had accompanied the PM then to UK, and we had a meeting with you people alongside Honorable Tobo Manyara and now the current Senator Mombasa Hassan Omar Hassan. Now, just brief remarks about the campaign. I want to assure you that as a presidential campaign secretariat at that point in time, we did the best that we could do as far as the campaigns were concerned. The candidate gave us all the necessary support. He put all the resources we required at our disposal. He made sure that we had got the necessary prerequisite infrastructure to roll out a very, very vibrant campaign. So in terms of how the campaigns were conducted, we matched the Jubilee Coalition campaigns in all aspects, if not superseded their performance. Now, we also had overwhelming support from the core principals in the core coalition, and of course Kenyans at large. We got a lot of cooperation from Kenyans, both within Kenya and outside. And to that extent, we must thank our supporters in the diaspora, of course, starting with you people in the UK. You gave us a lot of support. And to that extent, we owe you a great debt of gratitude. Some two key issues that I want to outline, that out of the 47 counties, our candidates are we are actually in control of 24 county governments. And these county governments come up with a lot of opportunities. One, it is an opportunity for us to showcase what we can do in government as core coalition. And two, they are quite integral substantial opportunities for all of us to take part in. The challenge I would give you is to ensure that you use your wealth of experience and expertise, invaluable experience out here, to network with our county governments back home so that we can all harness our efforts to uplift the standards of our people. Most of you are experts in their various fields, and you have got invaluable experience and relevant technical capacity that you can use to support Kenyans back home, more specifically in those county governments in which we are in control. So what I'll do before I leave is that I'll ensure that I give Mr. Wanyonyi and his team the contacts of our county governors, so that you can actually network with them, offer suggestions as to ways and means through which you feel you can partner with them. Some of you, I believe, also based on your expertise, can also be absorbed to play a role in those county governments through technical support and otherwise. So that we will do. Then, one area also where we did very well as a campaign is that we have come up with not just highly experienced leaders in Parliament and the Senate, respectable personalities, but also in Parliament today, we have managed to take to Parliament very dynamic and youthful parliamentarians. On average, the youngest parliamentarian today is from the CORD coalition at the age of 26. Perhaps the youngest also senator is also from the CORD coalition. So we have got a team that is equal to the task, and that will augment the efforts of our CORD principles in pushing forward our agenda. Moving forward, Honorable Raila will at least offer guidance on that, so that we come out from this meeting as focused as possible. But the issues on the basis of which we campaign still remain very much alive. We really need to remain focused, but I want you guys to walk with your heads tall, knowing very well that we did not lose these elections. We won this election, but the vote was stolen. So let us remain focused, let us look ahead, let us think of what we can do to sustain the tempo between now and the next elections. Thank you very much. I now take this opportunity to invite our chief guest this morning, His Excellency Honorable Raila Odinga, to address.
Thank you. Asante sana mwenyekiti na Wakenya, hamjambo. Well, I feel very delighted to see this room almost full this morning. I didn't expect that on a working day like this, you would be able to get such an audience coming here. That's why I was telling Eliud that, why did you ask them to come in the evening? But he said, no, they are ready, they will be there. So I'm happy to meet with you. Because last time we were here, we had breakfast. It was the time when we were going to the campaign. But I said that I should not only be coming to you when elections are nearing, trying to solicit the support, but after the elections, I now keep away from people. I say that I think it is a duty to meet my people again and explain to them exactly what had transpired, so that we continue to remain engaged, knowing that we are part and parcel of a movement that is advancing. They said 3 steps forward, 1 step backward. We are still advancing. So we have advanced. Let me thank all of you for the support which you gave to us during that very critical time. Some of you were engaged, particularly in the social media. There was a very, very powerful debate going on, and you are very, very effectively engaged in highlighting issues of critical concern. So I thank you. We were hoping that you are going to be able to get the votes of the diaspora. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But even if you did not vote physically, you voted spiritually. And we hope that next time you'll be able to vote physically as well. So they say that the city of Rome was never built in a day. So it takes time to build a democratic society. Democratization is a process. It's not like instant coffee, which you brew and drink at the same time. So if you look down the memory lane, see that we have made a lot of progress. The other day I was telling people the evolution of our society backwards. In 1982, I was arrested and I was charged with treason. I spent 6 months in committee, prison, and then eventually they withdrew the case, entered nolle prosequi. Then I was transferred into detention, where I spent 6 years. When I came out in 1988, I was telling people that you don't know how society can change, particularly when you're living in it. Because the Kenya I came out into in 1988 was very different from the one I left in 1982. By the time I came out in 1988, we had completely transformed the Kenya into a police state. In 1982, people were still very relatively free. When I came out, people were so scared, so cowed, people could not speak to each other openly. I remember a gentleman who was very active in my wedding. Now I'm walking on Konanga Street. I see somebody walking towards me, and I look at him. I had not seen him for over 6 years, so I'm very happy to meet him. When he approached and when he saw me, he literally ran away from me. He ran away from me, scared that if he was seen talking to me, he would be in trouble. The other time, I go into, when we were in 82, we had a group of friends, because I used to teach at the University of Nairobi. But so many of those lecturers who are my buddies. We used to meet every weekend here and there. So now I go into a pub and I walk in and see these lecturers there sitting and drinking at the counter. And I walk in, I greet them, and I go and sit with my friends. Within 5 minutes, they'll pay their bills and they're all taken off. You sit with people at a table like this, and somebody begins to raise a political question. Then people look like, Jamen, tukunya tu. Policemen have become very powerful people. Yeah. When a special branch, particularly, walks into a place like that, people will be buying him drinks and so on, because these are very important people. So we have transformed the society into a police state. People who had been there had not noticed the difference, because they had assimilated those changes gradually. But if you had walked away and spent 6 years somewhere just within there, and you come back, you come into a completely different society. So that's why I'm saying that freedom is a sister to deprivation, and it can go away very quickly. But I'm very happy that Kenyans have made a lot of progress since that time. But it is not without sacrifice. So where we are today, we are in a much better position than we were in those days. It took quite a bit of struggle, but we have transformed our society. This is very important. Eliud has already explained to you what transpired in these last elections. Just want to compare them to what happened in, 5 years down the lane, in 2007, 2008. I had, this time around, one of my very close confidants. In the last elections, he was with my opponent. He was in the Kibaki campaign team. So, now explaining to the people exactly what happened. That when the tallying was being done, they had already tallied most of the constituencies. There were only 35 constituencies whose result had not been added. But when they added all those, then we had a lead of 600,000 votes over my then opponent. So the decision was then taken to manufacture those votes. So all the returning officers from those remaining 35 constituencies were directed to proceed to the intelligence headquarters, NSIS headquarters, with their results. And that is where they now manufactured 900,000 votes to now show that eventually I was defeated by 300,000 votes. That is exactly what happened. But when the tallying was going on at KICC, he called me. He said, Dr. Raila, can I see you? For only 5 minutes. So I agreed to go and meet with him. And when I went to meet, he told me, first, the good news. Congratulations. You have won the elections. Huh? But people were still struggling at KICC with Kivit. He told me, forget about the figures there. I know where they're being cooked. I'm part of it. But now the bad news. They are going to announce Kibaki as the president this afternoon.
You will not be president.
Okay. So, and then now he told me you have either choice of accepting or refusing, and of course there's going to be a lot of bloodshed. Many people are going to die. But you can do a deal with Kibaki that you become his vice president, then he will support you 5 years from now. Of course, I said I'll have nothing of it. I just giving you that example to tell you that what happened then is very similar to what has happened this time around as well. And the very same forces, the very same groups that were involved are the same groups that are involved here. I don't know whether the Supreme Court would have done differently, because probably there are a lot of subterranean forces that influence the decision of the Supreme Court. You remember, in the courts, our lawyers compiled evidence, 800 pages of evidence, and we got the best brains in the country. We also got the best lawyers from South Africa who came to work with our team. We also got one of the top lawyers from the United States, the guy who was in the Bush, was Al Gore case, if some of you remember. We brought him all the way from the United States, and he worked with our team here. And he told us that from the evidence I've seen, the least you can get here is a runoff. But if it was in the United States, I would say that it would be completely a rerun of the entire election. This was what it was. What do they do in the Supreme Court? It is the Chief Justice, because the lawyers, the defense lawyers were complaining that we had filed too much evidence after we had originally filed the first one, that they don't know how long this is going to take. Then the Chief Justice asked him to apply an objection against the evidence which you have put. It is the Chief Justice who asked the defense lawyer to apply. Then the defense lawyer applies, the matter is argued, and then they rule that this evidence be expunged from the court registry on a technicality. Yet all that evidence was an analysis of what the IEBC had put in the place in the first place. So you are in a case where you have taken your case into the court. The court rejects your evidence, say take it out, and then they go and then dismiss your case that there was no evidence. This is how it was. This is how it was. But it was such a damning evidence. You see that these were, of course, very challenging elections. 6 elections in one. County rep, MP, women rep, senator, governor, president. So when you went to a polling station, you are given 6 ballot papers. Then you go to a booth, you mark them, 6. Then there are 6 ballot boxes with different colors. So you come and drop them one by one, 6. The next person does the same. The next one does the same, meaning that at the end of the polling, when the polling station is closed, all these 6 boxes should be having identical number of ballot papers, equal number of ballot papers. If you multiply that by 33,400 polling stations, then you get the total of what was cast. And they should be equal. The total votes cast for county reps, for senators, for governors, for MPs, for women rep and president should be the same.
Yes.
Isn't that right? Yes. In this case, for the 5, it's the same, 10 million point something.
Yeah.
But for presidential, it's 12 million or something. There's over 1.3 million people who went to a polling station and only voted for the president, did not vote for anybody else. You see that? And that evidence there. But the electoral law does not allow you to vote, to come out of the polling station with a ballot paper. You see, you are given 6, you must mark them, you must drop them there. It's an offense to walk out of a polling station with a ballot paper. Either you ate it in there, that's it. You see the turnout, average turnout, voter turnout for all these other elections is 72%. 17%. But for presidential, it's 86%.
86%.
See, those are the additional ballot papers because there are areas where people are being given 3 or 5 presidential ballot papers, which are already pre-marked, which you just go to put in there. And that's why when the court ordered a retallying of only 22 polling stations, which we had pointed out, they found that out of those 19 of them, there were more than 120% voter turnout. Those who voted were more than those who were registered in that polling station. See that? So there were massive irregularities that actually took place in this. But we said, okay, the Supreme Court has made a ruling, and we said Kenya is bigger than us, and an election is just an event. There will be another election in the future. The country must move on. Remember Bush versus Al Gore versus Bush. They had won the popular election. And remember, they reached a stage where there was supposed to be a returning appeal. And the Supreme Court refused to allow a returning. And Al Gore left it. Everybody knows that Al Gore won the elections. But he left it. And the country moved on. So the Constitution says that the ruling of the Supreme Court is final. Those are the words in the Constitution. So we had a choice of saying we don't accept. Don't accept. And there are people who are ready to get out on the streets and begin doing demonstrations. And the other people had also already been deployed with guns ready to shoot. So it would have been a bloodbath. A lot of lives would have been lost. Much more than what happened in 2007, 2008. And we said, no, this is not worth it. It's not worth losing so many lives of innocent people. That's why we said, no, we don't agree, but we accept. We don't agree, but we accept the ruling of the Supreme Court. And that Kenya is more important than as individuals. So let us respect this. These are weak institutions. We thought we had done sufficient reforms. It means that we need more reforms. Likewise, the Electoral Commission failed the test. The Electoral Commission failed the test. In the evidence we put there, it showed that the Electoral Commission and the TNA, which is one of the opponents, were hosted together by a service provider called Kenyan. But not only that, they shared the same IT address, the same number. Meaning that if you change anything on the TNA site, it is automatically reflected on the IEBC site. Meaning that the results which you are seeing on the screen there was being fed from the TNA place. They're the ones who are actually feeding it to me. That's why you had two parallel lines running. And if that thing had not crashed, that is how it would have ended. The only thing is that they had put in a formula for spoil votes, which was going exponential. And if it had continued, it means that they would not have gotten 50 plus 1%. That's why it was necessary to crash it and to go manual. All that evidence was also there to show that, because we had our people who managed to hack in the Kenyan and get all the evidence to show that this thing was being manipulated from the TNA side. And the guy who did it, who worked for it, is one of the people who have been appointed as a cabinet secretary.
Yes.
As a reward for the work well done. Way forward is this. I'm saying that we must move on. We must accept this and work for more reforms in the future. And that's why you see we have a very large number of members of parliament. You see, somebody will see, how about a parliament? What happened was there were two things that happened. We had a challenge with because we are the biggest party. We had a challenge with our nominations, which were postponed. I'd said, let's do a nomination 6 months in advance, like they do in this country. Oh, if we do our nominations earlier, then the losers will run to the other parties. So I said, no, it's better to have nominations earlier so that candidates can network with the people. It was delayed. Then there was a lot of competition, a challenge. People fought. And then we also got, because we did a coalition, we said, let us do a joint nominations. Others refused. and the other partners gave candidates tickets. So we had, as you know, a 10-party coalition. So all these parties went and fielded candidates. And some of them were basically new parties. So they were taking ODM's candidates and fielding in other parties. So our candidate therefore went and shared the votes, they split the votes. This is what allowed TNA and UMP to win a number of seats, using basically all members of ODM. So you find, for example, you went to Ukana, they won the seats, but all the presidential votes went to our side. You go to Teso, they have the seats, but 95% of the votes went to our side. You go among the Maasai community, all the presidential votes came to me, but then they got the parliamentary seats. So that can be very misleading. But those people who are elected there actually basically are ODM members who took the ticket to their side. Take, for example, Nairobi. We could have won minimum of 13 out of 17 seats. But because our people went to so many different parties, you find that our candidates are losing with 3,000, 5,000 votes, whereas our own fellow in another party has gotten 12,000 votes. So this is what explains the so-called parliamentary majority the other people have in parliament. So, but it's a good lesson for us, and we must move on. Yesterday I met with Gordon Brown, the former Prime Minister. He asked me, shall I call you as former Prime Minister? So I told him, we are different from Britain, because you still have a current Prime Minister. In Kenya, the title Prime Minister went with that old constitution. So now there is no other Prime Minister. There's now only a President and a Deputy President. Therefore, I'm a freer Prime Minister. Let me thank Marion and your team for what you're doing in the House of Commons. I think it's important. This country is very important for Kenya. And our relationship with the UK must continue, despite some differences which they may exist here and there. And it is important that the leadership of this country is properly informed about the developments in the country. I have told the leadership there in Kenya that, look, let us move the country forward in a bipartisan manner. The elections are behind us. We put the elections behind us and come together and respect each other. So I've told them, in Parliament, we have the Jubilee side and the Court side. So let the Jubilee not try to poach members who are in the Court, because that way you try to weaken the opposition. So a strong, vibrant opposition is important for a multi-party democracy. And so I said we are ready to work, to cooperate constructively in order to reform our country, and particularly our constitution, because we have seen certain weaknesses which need to be rectified going forward. Now, we have this issue of devolution. Devolution is very crucial to our country, because it is what is going to tame the imperial presidency. This is why we came up with this devolution, so that resources are distributed equitably and because it comes down to the grassroots through a formula. So there's no more discretion. In the past, there was too much discretionary powers given to the bureaucrats who sit in Nairobi at the treasury, and they're the ones who decide which roads will be done, which health centers will be constructed, which schools will be supported, which irrigation schemes will be constructed, how farmers will be assisted, and so on. But that has all now changed with the devolved structure of government. Because now the counties are supposed to get money directly from the treasury. And they are supposed to prepare their own budgets and implement it. But there is still a tug of war between the center and the devolved units. Because, see, they came up with what is called the National Government Coordination Act, which has created the so-called county commissioners. These county commissioners are being brought in place of the PCs. So you see now a problem where the governors have been elected, but the provincial administration is refusing to cede power. Like the governor is not allowed to go to the provincial headquarters. The governor is supposed to go to the former county council offices. So they've said no. The county council went, and the constitution says that the system known as a provincial administration shall be restructured to fit into the devolved system of government within 5 years. But see, to them, that means restructuring means that you find a way of this living side by side. So at the county, you've got a county commissioner, there's a governor. But below it, you've got a district commissioner, then you've got a district officer, then you've got a chief and assistant chief, all answering to the center. But that means a parallel structure to the devolved system, meaning that the governor will then also have to have his own person at the DC, at the district level, and then at his location and sublocation, which will be very expensive. So this is where there is still a tug of war. And this is what we want to ensure that is done. So I've instructed our senators, members of parliament, to draft an amendment to the so-called National Government Coordination Act. So to repeal it and bring in an act which will strengthen the hands of the devolved units, the governors and so on. So we want to work very closely with these governors to ensure that the policies that our policies are implemented so that people can really benefit from the services rendered by these county governments in the meantime. So let me just conclude now by saying that I want us to remain engaged and remain in contact. My role going forward is in two ways. So still under discussions. There are those who feel that I should be engaged in active politics, in managing our members of parliament going forward. So that we have an effective party in the House and also out of the House. There are those who say that I should be in out of the House and organize the party outside and do other things. So in the next days, we're going to make a decision finally as to how to want to move forward. But what I want is I want us to have a strong party outside. That is ODM and CORD. Okay, we are strengthening CORD coalition, but also strengthening the constituent parties of CORD, and then we'll see how in the future we can integrate these parties together. Okay? And also down there, we are going to bring new faces into the leadership of the party. We want to bring more youth to create vibrancy and women into the party to manage it. Thank you guys for the sympathy you've shown on the demise of our brother Mutula Kilonzo. Mutula, as you know, was really one of the pillars of our movement. Very strong, very committed, very dedicated. He was even one of the lead lawyers during this petition that we filed. And I was with him on a Thursday before he died on Friday night. We had lunch together, and he had invited me to go to his ranch, only to have to go there to pick his crops. What we've done is we managed to get a pathologist from here, who flew to Nairobi. He arrived yesterday morning. He led the postmortem, and then they finished. He has taken some samples which he has come back with. He arrived this morning in Nairobi. He said they are going to do analysis, and it will take about 8 weeks for the proper results to come out. So I don't want to speculate. I'm going to talk to the doctor later today. But we've lost a true Kenyan patriot, somebody who was really committed to the ideals of our court coalition. We will miss him dearly. So I thank you. Again, I wish you well. Thank you for meeting with me. As I said, I don't want people to come and pity me. I'm not an object of pity.
You are a giant.
I said, Waswahili nasema tu kuvunjika kwa mwiko sio mwisho wa upishi. Like when you're cooking and the stick gets broken, you just replace it. And what I'm showing Kenyans is that our ugali will be cooked and we will eat it properly. Thank you very much.